My name is Jenna Fountain. Let me share my screen, and here we go. So this is my research study that I did this semester. It's college students' recall of simple words with and without a timer. These are some of the studies that I looked up. So this is one person's study, Oxfox, McCrag, Health Corps, and Dennis. They did their study in 2018. They recalled words from a list. Does not affect the performance, but instead this strengthens the memory. Test anxiety can cause anxiety with knowing that you have anxiety, what they did, and what they found. And it's by Schwartz, 2015. And then people that took time or non-time tests that were stressed and did not have anxiety perform on the tests. And this is from Dibatria, 2006. From this study, I remember reading that people that did not have test anxiety also did the same as people with anxiety, with test anxiety. This is my hypothesis. So I predict if a timer was visible to a group of participants, they would know that they have a limited amount of time. Then they would recall fewer words than a group with a pause timer visible in unlimited time. So I did about I let my participants have 6 minutes to read the list of words of spelling words. And then they had 4 minutes. The experimental group had 4 minutes to recall those words, while the other group had a timer present, but it was a pause timer. Participants, 29 college students that are enrolled in undergrad psychology course in the fall of 2020 at Emporia State University. They would have to sign up for a session in PY 3030 to do our sessions this semester. Usually they're in person, but since of COVID, we did everything online. And then this is my IRB approval number. The materials that I used was a Zoom call script, wordless, which had 23 random nouns, 4 to 11 letters long. The computer timer working or pause on the Zoom window so everyone could see that there was a timer visible. Qualtrics recall text entry. My survey that I used was called TikTok, which had 3 demographic items, which was age, classification, and gender. And then 15 Likert scale items about memory, which one of them is I am very confident and I remember most words correctly. And then they would, one would be not really, and 7 would be yes, they do. Like I said, strongly disagree was 1, and then 7 strongly agree. The design was an independent 2-group experiment. Independent variable was the timer and pause and working, and the dependent was word calling. The procedure was Qualtrics online with the informed consent form, the instructions of the Zoom call script read to the participants. They studied the list of words for 6 minutes, either with a working timer or a pause timer in the background of the Zoom call. And then after the 6 minutes of looking at the recalled words, the participants had 4 minutes. Timer would be working for both groups so to recall those words and type them in Qualtrics. And then after that, after they typed in all their words and stuff, then they would complete my TikTok survey. And then after they finished the TikTok survey, they would do a debriefing statement. And then result of word call. So this is my descriptive statistics for the pause. The mean was a 17.40. Standard deviation was a 6.2. And then how many participants did it? The pause side was 10 people. For the working, my mean was 3.89. My standard deviation was a 6.31. And then how many participants did the working was 19. My interferential statistics, t-test for independent groups, significant difference between the groups. And then here's that stats for that. So large effect, and was my colons D was 0.02. Excuse me. This is my graph that I did. So basically, you can see that the pause had a lot more participants, and it's a lot bigger than the working one. So right here. Yeah. And then in conclusion, the experiment, there was a significant difference between the control and experimental group. The results were the same, that there was a significant difference between the control and experiment group. Participants that had test anxieties were anxious and penalized because of the time constraint condition. This is from Dennis. I basically had the same thing. When I saw the data. There was a different outlier for each time pressure test, but the participants received feedback immediately after taking the test, which after they finished completing the survey, they would come back into the group and I would say thank you, and then they would log off. And this is from Feathers. And then this study showed that people do struggle with test anxiety with a timer is paused or working, which comes down to the conclusion of test anxiety, which I wanted. So for my limitations of my study, cannot generalize to non-college students participating logging out of the survey link. So I had a couple of participants that would log out of the Zoom call or log out of the Quatrix survey and then jump into a different group. So because they thought that their timer wasn't working when they were on the pause timer. Future research, larger, more sample from diverse population. In-person study than a Zoom call. I feel like this would go a lot more smoothly if it was in person, but I totally understand because of COVID. Bottom line, participants that had a pause timer recalled more spelling words than the participants with a working timer recalling spelling words. Here are all my references that I use for this PowerPoint. And here's my acknowledgement, and I want to thank everyone and also Dr. Grover for also being my supervisor for this, and thank you. Hope you guys have a nice night. Bye.